I finally got my hands on the OUPES MEGA 3 power station, and I'm not gonna waste any of your time. I'm gonna jump right into the video. We're gonna get a lot of testing completed. We're gonna test the capacity. We're gonna test the output. We're gonna hook it to solar. We're gonna do all the tests that you came to the video to actually see. So without further ado, let's get started. With the MEGA 3 weighing in at 82.4 pounds, it's getting right on that leading edge of becoming not a very portable unit. However, OUPES did think about that, and they put wheels on this portable power station, something I don't see on a lot of other portable power stations weighing over 60 pounds. I like the fact that they thought of that and put it on here. They have this little handle that you can pull out. It's almost like a suitcase. You lift it up, and it's very portable at that point. So you can see the balance on it's pretty good. I can do it with one finger. I like that OUPES thought of that. So even though it comes in a little heavy, around the 82, 83 pound mark, with that handle, it does make this a very portable unit. The MEGA 3 is a 3600 watt, 120 volt output, pure sine wave inverter, and we're verifying that using the oscilloscope to actually read the waveform that's coming in, and that waveform looks absolutely perfect to me, and it doesn't matter whether we're using any of these 20 amp outputs or the 30 amp output. They're all at 120 volts. All of them look the same. I verified every one of them, and that's the waveform that we're getting out of it. So this is definitely a pure sine wave inverter. And for all my testers out there that might be interested in an affordable oscilloscope, check out the VVAR SDS 1104 oscilloscope. This is very affordable. It comes packed with a lot of different features that you might be interested in. It's got 4 channels. This thing is definitely something you want to put in your toolbox if you're testing out inverters like this. I'll have a link in the description below if you are interested. Let's talk about all the different outputs on the MEGA 3. We'll start up here in the left-hand corner with the on and off switch to this side. It's just controlling this unit here. So we can turn this on and off, and you'll see that happening right there. So when I do that, you'll get these turned on and off. We have 2 USB-C ports at 100 watts and 3 of the regular USB ports. I'm not sure why we even need the 5 volt 2 amp port, but I would prefer just to have 4 of those babies right there and then adapt it down with an adapter. But I understand some people don't want to buy the adapter and they need these ports right here. So that's cool. Now, this is very important to have. Everybody loves this one, the 12 volt 30 amp output. Now, we don't want to plug in our solar into that. That's very similar right over here. Always plug your solar in right here and not right here because you're going to burn something up. Now, let's move on to the actual plugs, the AC out plugs. We are at 20 amps on each of these and 30 amps on this one here. So we have 5 20 amp plugs. Something that OUPES does that is unique is they put the ground pointing upward, and I like the ground pointing downward, but it doesn't affect the actual polarity of the plug itself. It's just the placement of how they put the ground, because they place this one with the ground up, and almost everybody does this. So I guess they're just trying to match this over here. This is the one that you would use in a transfer switch or on your RV. Now, this is not 240 volts. This is 120 volts. Then we'll move right up here to this DC out. We have 2 barrel ports and the cigarette out port, or the car output, I guess you would call that. And that's how you turn it on and off right there. You can kind of see it blinking there. I did forget to mention the AC is right here, and you can see it turn on and off right there. And we're running at 60 hertz. It automatically adjusts. You can see when we first turn it on, it says 50, but then it switches to 60. And if you want to control the MEGA 3 by Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, you need to turn that on. That's that button right here. You'll see it start blinking. I'll show you exactly how to get the app set up and how we can control this through the app, and we don't even have to touch anything on the front. So if you're in a distance from this and you need to control it in your RV or wherever you're at, and you want to do that, then you need to turn this on and be able to control it. But first, you got to download the app, get it connected. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in just a second. But let's talk about the power on and power off. So to power it off, you got to press and hold for about 3 seconds, and then it turns it off. To power on, you got to press and hold. I didn't hold long enough. Press and hold for about 3 seconds as well, and then it turns the unit on. Now, it does not automatically turn these back on when the power comes back on. You have to manually turn on the devices that you would like turned back on. And that includes the Wi-Fi. So let's do this here real quick. If we powered this off, say we were in a grid down situation, we ran out of battery, and then it charges back up, you have to manually turn all this stuff back on. And that's pretty standard in all these power stations. I wish it would automatically turn all of this back on, but it's important to note that it doesn't. To download, you'll want to scan the QR code on the side of the Mega 3, then you'll add a device. Next, you'll confirm the device is in pairing mode. It'll pop up on your screen. You'll want to click the Mega 3, click Next, connect it to your Wi-Fi, and then once it's added successfully, reopen the app and you are good to go. Moving over to the left side of the unit, we have our inputs. We have the AC input, the DC input for the solar array. I love that we have this added feature of 2 breakers. This is for the AC in and the AC out. So this is going to be protected by this switch. So if we turned it off, it would no longer charge from AC, or if something happens, or if it surges and it goes over this, then that would protect the unit. And this will turn these switches on and off out here as well. Moving on down, we have the battery port for the B2 battery that would plug right into here to expand the capacity of this unit. So I love that everything, all the inputs is here, all the outputs are here. We don't have anything extra on this side other than the handle. In the next segment, I'm going to be hooking up 4 400-watt Aptos solar panels. Now, our MPPT range on the Mega 3 is between 12 volts and 150 volts. And on those solar panels, my output is 37.1 volts each. When I connect them in the series, then we're getting close to the 150 volts. So I don't want to go anything over that. So 4 panels works out perfectly for me, gives me 1600 watts to test this thing out on. And I want to show you guys how that works. Currently, it's about 11 o'clock in the morning, so we're only getting about 1,032 watts out of our solar panels. But I also want to point out that you can charge this with solar and with AC input at the same time to speed up your charging rate. Now, during the day, I would never charge with AC, but depending on your scenario, you may want to do that. And it's nice to know that you can do AC and DC at the same time. Now the input is going over 2,000 watts of input. If the sun would cooperate with me and the clouds would stay out of the way, this would go up even higher. But you see that we did reach 2,000 watts, and we are charging with solar and AC input at the same time. And I personally don't like charging with AC when I have the sun to be able to charge this up. And this is certainly capable of backing up all your essential loads at 120 volts. All we need to keep in mind is that it can only output. We don't want to push over 3,600 watts coming out of the power station itself. And we got 120 volts coming out of here going into our transfer switch. If you have a 240 volt transfer switch, or you're looking to install a 240 volt transfer switch, you can still use the Mega 3 to power the essential loads. You got to keep in mind though, that it can't power double pole breakers. It can power single breakers up to 30 amps, and we don't want to pull or draw more power than 3,600 watts out of the Mega 3, but it could certainly power a 240 volt transfer switch with the correct adapter. So I've got an adapter that plugs into the bottom of this transfer switch. Some other transfer switch may have a plug out here, may require a different adapter. It's just the ends that it's adapting. So don't let that scare you away. This is the other end that will plug in to the Mega 3. And then right now we're on grid power. And if we want to switch over to the Mega 3 itself to off grid power, we can do that by just switching this over. Now we have all of our power being supplied by the Mega 3. So there is an option for you if you're looking for a generator to back up your essential loads. Although it's at 120 volts and you have a 240 volt transfer switch, you can still do that, and you do it with the Mega 3. Now I'm going to put this baby to the test and see if it can handle the 3,600 watts of output. So I'm going to turn on all the 120 volt circuits that I have connected to my 50 amp transfer switch over there. Basically, I've moved everything from this over to that so I can provide you with these type of tests. So I should be able to get up to 3,600 watts. It's actually going to be pretty tough to do that. So I might have to plug in some heat guns and we'll see what happens, but I'll definitely get you close to 3,600 watts and we'll see if the Mega 3 can actually output what it says it can. And I've turned on a lot of circuits and a lot of appliances to get up to 3,400 watts. It's hard to dial it in right at 3,600 watts, but now I want to take it over that and see if we have that overload protection on this. It should run for just a little bit of time and then kick off. So let me go turn on a couple different appliances, small appliances, to push it just over the 3,600 watts, and let's see what happens. And that worked exactly like it's supposed to. We have an E027 error code, and that basically means we've overloaded the system, and now we need to reset it. The way you want to do that is to hit the AEC button and turn everything back on. You'll start to see that the lights will turn on in just a second. Boom. Now we're back up and running. And I do want to point out that it kicked off right around 3,900 watts, and it happens almost instantly a plug-in appliance where I surged over the 3,600 watts. And that's especially going to happen because I was running at 3,400 watts for a little bit of time before even plugging in that appliance. So it happened almost immediately. I'm glad that the overload protection works exactly like it's supposed to. The rated capacity on the Mega 3 is 3,072 watt hours. Now I did a efficiency test where I discharged this at around 1,400 watts. And I came in for a final reading of 2,808 watt hours with an efficiency of around 91.4%. I did a discharge on the DC as well to find out what the efficiency on the discharge for DC was. And that came in at 2,032 watt hours, which is 66.14%, which is lower than the industry standard. However, on the AC side of that, is above the industry standard for that 91.4%. We also did a thermal scan during this test to see if we can get the internal temperature and the surface temperature of the inverter to see if we had any overheating, and nothing there come in surprising. We had a max reading of 86% for the internal temperature that I got from the app, and 72.8 Fahrenheit right here from the fans through my thermal image. So all of that came in just great. I also conducted a sound level test to see what the max level that I can get recorded in a silent area. So I had everything turned off in the studio here, and then I had this charging from solar, and I was using some power as well. And the max reading that I got out of this was somewhere around 53 decibels. I'll clip that in to show you what that looked like, but I did multiple tests on it, and that's the highest reading that I got out of it. Hey, I just wanted to thank you for hanging out with me to the end of the video, and I want to make a suggestion. If there is a product that you would like for me to review that I haven't reviewed on my channel just yet, leave me a comment. I read all the comments on every video that I've ever put out on YouTube. So if there's something that you would like to see me review, be sure to leave it in the comments. So hopefully I'll see you in my next video, and maybe it's on the product you made a suggestion on.